The assumption isn't that we're all on the same page with the same language, the same training, the same background, the same life experience. We have differences. But that's what makes change possible, because we can cross our differences to solve our pressing problems. For far too long, the culture in corrections has been, you just suck it up. You don't talk about it.
As a union advocate, I band-aided the unidentified and misdiagnosed effects of stress, trauma, and crisis in myself and in my fellow officers. For context, I've been fired, suspended, assaulted, gassed, tased, intervened in fights, stabbings, riots. I've seen loss of life. I almost lost my wife, my family, and myself.
My family's story is something that I wish could say was rare, but unfortunately, tragedies like this affect corrections families far more than the general public realizes. My father, Michael Mellon, retired a captain from Sousa Baranowski Supermax Prison in Massachusetts at the age of 45 after 22 years of working for the Department of Corrections. He only lived about 18 months after he retired, and he killed himself. I was 19 years old at the time, and my brother was 17.
Commissioners, these stories are not unique. They're not anomalous. Unfortunately, the testimonies that you'll hear today are the truth and reality of countless correctional officers across the globe. We are fighting an enemy that we didn't even know existed, a threat that we didn't know we were facing, and we need some help.
How do we take a system that's just broken for everyone? What do we do with that? So I ask that you just ponder and think about what's possible.
Staff wellness programs should begin at the academy and continue through retirement.
Agencies must have a pre-Genesis through Exodus awareness and responsibility to the holistic well-being of its employees. They must intentionally but sagaciously dispel the stigmas surrounding self-care. And that's going to require partnerships, because we as corrections have to acknowledge that the silos and the walls that we operate within and behind got us here. And the mental and behavioral health is not our strength.
Trying to do things preventatively, equipping, that's one of the things we're doing with both families and staff, making them aware of what's coming, what to expect, how to read the roadmap that they're on.
You could be stabbed, but also the threat of being stabbed every day for your entire career can also change you as well.
If you send somebody to a toxic spill in their little sandals and shorts, hey, that's not right. They need a hazmat suit. Staff are being thrown in the middle of all kinds of traumatic situations with absolutely no protection whatsoever. They're just like, deal with it, another day in paradise, and come back tomorrow, and don't complain about being put in the same unit where the floor was covered in blood and you're having nightmares about it. Sorry, you're going to have to go back there and work there, and it's not my problem. You signed up for this.
This is the culture of corrections, particularly in the United States, that is very toxic.
Prisons cannot be places where officers or inmates have to check their humanity at the door.
That's part of the problem, is that we don't recognize humanity in this.
We think that the enemy is the population that we supervise, when in reality, the enemy is the correctional environment in its entirety. Our enemy isn't just the fights and the felons, it's the culture. It's the colorless, cold, and unforgiving concrete that confines not only the incarcerated, but us as well.
There's not a bright line between incarcerated individuals, from what you're telling me, right, and corrections officers.
The analogy is this: they're the smokers. We get the secondhand smoke, but at the end of the day, we all get cancer.
So in order to truly help ourselves, we will in turn help those who are incarcerated as well. This kind of has a ripple effect.
This isn't a problem that you should have to treat. It's not even a problem that you should try to prevent. Why do we have the system that we have?
Until we transform prisons from human warehouses to places of accountability and rehabilitation, I'm afraid we're going to continue the insanity going forward.
I'm not here to tell you that EU should copy the Norwegian or Nordic model. but it has some valid points that I have seen firsthand. In the past 70 years, we have gone from on-the-job training to a 2-year paid academy training. The staffing ratio is 1.1 staff to every inmate. Corrections in Norway is anything but flawless. But the expectations and conditions of incarcerated have changed, and we are safer and more satisfied as a result.
We've heard that we have a broken system.
But we ask you not to give up on us.
I never thought I would be sitting in front of you telling this story. But if I can prevent this tragedy from happening to another family, to another little girl that really needed her father, that's my goal.
The sanctity of these moments we have shared and the stories we have heard need to stay with us and inspire us as we go forth on our journey.
The secret's out, and the silence is broken, and we have to act.
Without action, without follow-through, intentions to address the mental health and wellness of correctional officers are meaningless.
Together, we can change this system. We all have the right for holistic safety. That's creating communities where we all feel protected and whole and resilient. But it's going to take all of us to unite and have some of those difficult conversations and to realize that even though we come from divergent pathways, we all want the same thing, to be safe and to be well. And together we can do that.